Year 11. Welcome to the analysis of Belfast Confetti by Kieran Carson. As always, we will start with structure. The poem is set out in an irregular order. Lines and stanzas are of varying length. The three rhetorical questions at the end there, as you can see, emphasise the idea that he has lost his identity in the midst of the conflict. Enjambment is used throughout the poem to highlight the idea that the conflict is ongoing and difficult to stop. As we can see, the lines run into one another. Free verse is also used, giving the poem a lack of regularity, implying that war is unacceptable. The poem consists of two separate stanzas. The first stanza represents the violence. The second stanza represents the confusion. Also, you could argue that the two stanzas represent the two sides in the conflict, the Catholics and the Protestants. If we begin our analysis of language, the main technique used by Kieran Carson is metaphor, as he compares the violence experienced and the confetti to punctuation marks. As we can see, it was raining exclamation marks, a fountain of broken type, an asterisk on the map, hyphenated line, alleyways and side streets blocked with stops and colons. I was trying to complete a sentence in my head. The most prominent metaphors are it was raining exclamation marks, the explosion itself an asterisk on the map, this hyphenated line a burst of rapid fire, all the alleyways and side streets blocked with stops and colons. The punctuation marks allow the reader to visualise what the confetti actually resembles. Obviously, confetti in the title is also a metaphor, as the people are throwing nuts and bolts and scrap pieces of metal, which resembles obviously the confetti thrown at a wedding. The idea of the bomb being asterisks emphasises the severity of the bomb and the idea that it almost engulfs all of Ireland. The hyphenated line visually shows the reader the continuous gunfire and that it is never ending. The language used in stanza 2 changes to highlight the poet's confusion, and the build-up of short sentences represents his inability to escape from the violence and the conflict, until all he is left with is a fusillade of question marks. The rhetorical question, "What is my name?" is set out over 2 lines, emphasising the poet's lack of identity. The use of the word labyrinth describes the maze that is the streets of Northern Ireland as the conflict takes place. And as mentioned earlier, the rhetorical questions towards the end of the poem serve to highlight how confused Kieran Carson is. So stanza 1, the language is violent, it's visual, it's metaphorical, and in stanza 2, the language shows his confusion. Overall, punctuation and words help us to communicate with one another. Kieran Carson is suggesting that the people of Northern Ireland have lost the ability to communicate with each other and have resorted to violence in order to express themselves.